Currently, in two very different places around the world, we are seeing what happens when the left and the climate cult start implementing their crackpot schemes to save the planet. You see, none of these net zero climate schemes work without massively disrupting or even destroying the lives of the little people. Small businesses, family farms, mum and dad enterprises, ordinary family life. In Holland, currently, there are massive demonstrations. You won't see them on the news because the Dutch authorities are literally shutting down small farms in order to slash nitrogen oxide and ammonia emissions by 2030. Thousands of tractor-driving Dutch protesters came out this week to continue demonstrations against the government's radical plan to cut nitrogen emissions by 30 to 70% as part of their green agenda. Completely arbitrary bureaucratic madness. But this is what happens when you legislate climate targets. The little people, the farmers, the small businesses, they get crushed under the wheels of the bureaucrats who believe they are saving the planet. Small farmers are now desperately fighting back in Holland, as they are in Sri Lanka, where a different set of insane green policies by the government there are forcing all farms to go organic, which has led to starvation, poverty, and despair. And here are the police and army literally stopping everyday Sri Lankans from getting any gasoline. This is, I fear, merely a glimpse of the dystopian world that awaits us if we pursue the folly of bureaucratically mandating a reduction in the energy supplies that sustain our food supplies, our health, and our shelter, and so much more. Back in the early 20th century, it was the Soviet and communist bureaucrats, driven by mad left-wing ideology, convinced that what they were doing was for the greater good and therefore impervious of the actual human cost, that saw mass disasters like the collectivization of farmland that led to the Ukraine famine in which millions perished. Don't think that this sort of bureaucrat-mandated madness cannot happen here. We have a left-wing government determined to implement similar net zero carbon reducing policies to that of the EU, driven by irrational ideology. And, well, we know how Labor governments in Australia behave when they want to enforce their rules and restrictions, but some members of the public have a different opinion.
Media! 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 They're throwing stuff now, and okay, they're